What is going on, everybody? Ryan, Larry, William, Tin Cup. You are listening to The Barf, a look back at the week that was, so you can prepare for the week that is. William, what is going on this weekend with you?
Ryan, not to get into our family's real lives and all that other stuff, but today I dropped Van Allis off for his fifth summer camp in 6 weeks, and
Ooh,
he's taking it like a champion, man. He's
does he have a
doing well.
choice?
Like,
Does he have a
no, not
choice?
at all. No, of course not. No,
Sounds fucking
but
painful. Not
no,
gonna
but
lie.
and it is. It's Texas, so he's got aquatics camp this week. So he's going to be doing rowing, canoeing, kayaking, yours,
No, 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 no.
life saving.
His kayaking is very different
Yeah,
than my kayaking.
100%, 100%,
I do not
100%.
row or paddle. I use a motor and I go.
It's like a small boat. Got it.
This body is
That's
not made for
oh
kayaking.
no, no,
In
no,
fact, I
no, no. I
remember we used to do whitewater rafting,
yes,
and I was the guy that would sit in there, and I can't really
yes.
move. But then when I had to get out, it was like watching a Teletubby trying to. I
I'm
couldn't get
familiar
out.
with
I'm
this.
like,
I'm familiar with this
oh.
because I've not. The last time I got in a canoe, which was years ago,
Mm,
I I've always knocked over canoes. Like as a kid, like it was a fun bit to stand up in a canoe and just, rock it until it
yeah.
tipped over. This was not on purpose. We were at a lake, and I was actually not trying to tip it over,
Oh,
and which was worse. But anyhow, so Van's off at
no.
aquatic school,
Okay.
and he'll come back, and that'll be the last one, 5 of 6, and then he'll have some time off, and then we'll do some other stuff. So anyhow,
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
good week.
Well, good. We have a lot of stuff
We
happened.
do we do.
A lot of stuff happening this week politically and just in HR and HR
Mm,
tech. Crazy times.
push.
But yeah, you want to kick off and get this thing moving?
Yeah, I'll start off with SHRM,
All right.
and let's do that. So SHRM is no longer focusing on the equity, and its DEI approach. It has actually switched it to I&D. So SHRM has switched the acronym to I&D, which stands for Inclusion and Diversity, but no longer equity. Has sparked strong pushback from some, I'd probably say all, HR DEI experts. This is at fastcompany.com. You go take a look at their take on it. But here's why I think it's important for us to talk about. SHRM's a very conservative organization. They always have been. And
Mm-hmm.
I think they're reading into the tea leaves about DEI and affirmative action and seeing kind of the legal threat that's about to happen. In essence, kind of what happened in higher education last year, the year before. Well, it's happened, been pushed to the courts, all the way to the Supreme Court. Then they finally they rendered their judgment of you can't use race as a on a
Yeah.
basis of admissions. So I think they see that coming to employment law and they're trying to get in front of it, but
Mm-hmm.
it is a step backward technically. So
Feels that way. Yeah.
for all the folks that care about diversity, inclusion, equity, equality, belonging, like it's a resolute group. Like these are folks that have dealt with a lot of challenges,
Mm-hmm.
and their allies have dealt with a lot of challenges related to this thing. So I think good business leaders, in my opinion, they'll do the right thing or they'll lose the talent.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it kind of susses out that way.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think good business leaders are going to do the right thing. I think for the most part they want to do the right thing. I think if this is a let's change the acronyms, let's change the letters
Right,
that we're using, but still
right.
do things and do it in a different way. Okay, maybe it's rocky today and it gets better quickly. Maybe it doesn't change. Maybe it just gets better. There's just a different way of presenting it. I don't know, but I'm with you. My
Well,
hope is
well, we
that we pass that point of not
well we
doing
talked
good.
last week about Tractor Supply, right? And they just
Yeah,
eliminated all of that stuff, all programs and all,
yeah,
not just that, but all the kind of everybody climate control, climate.
everything. Yeah, yeah. Which
There you go,
which is interesting. So interesting
ESG.
follow up to that. Um, So last week we talked about rural America
Uh-huh.
being their base, their for the store. Turns out
Yes.
that's not entirely true.
I
Uh,
yes. Black Farmers Unite.
25%. Yeah, so
Yeah.
25% of their base is people of color, and
It's
well,
not a good
and that's
look.
in rural, right, and that's in rural America, and in not urban, but in city-ish
Right,
type
right, right, right.
communities, right? So there's a tractor supply not far from me. I'm not rural. I'm not in a
Right.
city. I'm kind of in the middle. But
The
we like
burbs.
people. We like people of all colors here. We're very
Yeah.
integrated here. Now, if I go towards tractor supply, mm,
Right.
it's a little different, right? But if you go
Right.
just a little further, it's very integrated again, and there's a lot of
Interesting.
farming out there. Yeah. And so I was
Hmm.
reading more on that this week, and there's actually a few really good articles that are in depth on that. So it's interesting. We probably should have talked more about it, but yeah,
Yeah.
apparently 25% of their base is actually people of
It
color.
could have been. It could
Um,
have been just a CEO thing. That's the.
well,
That's the
that's what
thing
they're
that.
saying. That's what they're saying.
Yeah. CEO
So,
just didn't like that stuff and just wanted a reason to get rid of it and found a way to get rid of it. But so now we have to memorize a new acronym for SHRM, just for those that are SHRMies.
mhm.
IND. It's the IND.
Hmm. Okay.
There you go.
All right. The labor market report came out, right? Shows the
Okay.
42nd straight month of growth.
Hmm.
But what it should say What it should say is the 42nd straight month of growth for those with the proper skills. Let me explain.
Ah.
So clearly, I'm no economist. I can barely talk the English language. So take this as you will. But 42 months of consecutive job growth sounds amazing, but unemployment is outpacing that
Right.
job growth. Points, not leaps and bounds, points. Uh, but job seeker confidence is in the toilet. Here's
Yep.
why. Because one, we have the elections coming up. People don't know what companies are doing. The Fed will do their thing coming September, and this report showing growth will affect that. But there's controlled wage growth and competition for the job seekers, right? So salaries are being controlled. They're not as high as they were during the pandemic or even right post pandemic. They've come down and they've been fixed. So I feel like this headline's very misleading.
Right.
The
It's
job
just
growth,
focusing on the positive. Yeah.
it's only focused on the positive, but the job growth is for in demand skills, which seems like, okay, that makes sense, right? Common sense. But for all the people being let go, and there's a story I'll talk about a little bit later, companies are letting people go and rehiring their
Right.
positions once they reskill, or hiring those that are skilled in the skills that they're supposed to, or they would like
Right.
them to be skilled in when they laid them off. So it's going to keep going back and forth, but I feel like this is a little misleading and could
It
be.
kind of reminds you of any of the sports that you like, how players get traded.
Yeah,
We're gonna trade
yeah,
we're gonna trade a right-handed middle relief, and we're gonna pick up a right-handed middle relief with a
right.
different skill.
With a different skill,
So
right?
with a
Yeah,
different
yeah,
skill, similar but
yeah.
different.
Which I know we were texting earlier. Philly's got blown out today, 18-3. And talking about skill, I will say this. So, so Garrett Stubbs, who's a catcher, was pitching. I had no clue why. I
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
watching the game.
this is the thing. This is the thing this season, man. I
Yeah,
think they
yeah,
did it
yeah,
a little last season, but this
yeah,
season
yeah.
it's
But
once you're being
so
blown out, they're not putting a pitcher in. They're not going to
no, no,
waste a
no. It was a
pitcher.
bullpen game. It was storming in Philly, so they didn't want to blow Zach Wheeler in the right. I totally get
Yeah,
it. He was
yeah.
throwing like 50 miles an hour, this and that. But 56 miles an hour was the average. I mean, grand slams, multiple home runs. Like this was batting. It was actually comical, and they were all laughing at it.
You may as well
Um,
put it on a tee, like for a tee ball. Just put it on a tee and go, all right, we'll see if we can hit it.
there were a couple swings where players swung so hard that they missed, and their helmets
Right.
came off.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah. They
it
wanted
was
to
a little
crush it.
league. They did. This was
Well,
batting
because
practice.
this is like if you're not really a power hitter, this is
This
your
is your time.
this is your moment. This is your I'm going to go it over the fence. You know, if you're a
Yeah,
hitter, a pure
this is
hitter,
it.
but
Yeah.
this is your day,
We're
man.
talking
You
like
ain't,
460-foot home runs, like upper
oh
deck.
yeah,
Like this was it.
oh yeah, oh
So
yeah,
anyway,
yeah. The
all right.
odd thing on that thing also is a lot of those folks that are doing it are also
Huh?
getting strikeouts.
Yeah. Oh
Like
yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
number of because again they're used to facing a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
someone throws a 70-mile-an-hour fastball. They're like, I have to really like rethink my
Yeah.
entire stance.
I've got a whole
Anyhow,
back here. So anyway, all
yeah,
right. So let me get us back on track here. So
yeah,
I live in Pennsylvania, so I'm going to talk
yeah,
PA news. We got three crazy
yeah.
things.
You got
All right.
get
So
some
first
stuff
off,
going on here.
we got a lot of shit happening in PA this
Uh huh.
weekend.
Yeah.
So all right. So the Trump deal. Okay. The assassination attempt, we know that craziness, right? So we hope everything works out well there. The second thing was middle schoolers blow up their teachers. This is crazy. I probably shouldn't use the word blow up. But
Yeah.
we'll talk about this because it was actually, I think it's kind of amusing. And then third, the court denies the RTO injunction for the city. So you
Yep.
reported on this last week,
Yep.
where they wanted all the employees to come back
City employees
tomorrow,
got to come back.
and they,
The 15th.
yeah,
Actually, it will be tomorrow.
emergency stop. We don't want to go
Yep.
back in. Okay, well that was denied, right? So
Right.
we'll see what happens. Um, so let's talk about the middle schoolers first.
Yeah.
I know you have a thought on this.
So
Take us down
this
the
is
path.
actually I found this on NBCPhiladelphia.com. So
Yeah,
probably
not a big
your
fan
local.
of the station though.
No,
They're
really.
weird. Nah, they're trying to be hip.
Ah, well, you
Yeah,
know how that
just
goes.
be news people.
So basically, I think it was the students created TikTok accounts impersonating 22 teachers.
Right.
And they did all kinds of lewd, homophobic, racist TikTok videos where they put these people on blast,
I
like
understand the severity of
on
this. Everyone knows. I understand, but
on
it's
blast.
really funny though how they
Yep.
did this.
So, you know, the thing is why this is important too. First of all, this is something that happens in society, and this isn't the first time, won't be the last. Got it. Kids being kids. Got it. However, it's the translation to work that
Hmm.
interests you and I is okay. Okay, we can see, we can see it's eighth grade. Yeah, of course they're going to do stuff like
Yeah.
that. Of course they're going to do that. Okay, but coming to an office near you, how's HR going to deal with when they're doing that with their bosses? So when
Yeah.
someone goes off and just, creates a bunch of fake TikTok or any other accounts
Hmm.
to then just openly mock their boss, and do it anonymously.
Yeah.
And so, how are we going to deal with it? I think again, you can find that story and read all about it, and 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 on some level, to your point, it is funny. However,
However, yeah, and they had a press conference, a local press conference for it too. It's not that far from me, which is why it's really interesting to me.
right?
It's like I probably know some of these kids' families. Like that's you know, we'll
Oh
find
yeah,
out.
oh
So,
yeah.
but yeah,
The
interesting.
assassination attempt. First of all, two people in critical condition at this
Yeah.
particular moment. Two people were critical. One person has died. Whoever you vote for, whoever you care about, if you don't vote, all that other stuff, like we don't want to see this type of stuff. This reminds
No.
us of 1968 and multiple assassinations in one year. And again, feelings about Trump or Biden or any
Yeah, it
politician
doesn't
doesn't
go
really
there.
matter. At this point, we need to kind of ratchet down all that stuff and go, okay, we shouldn't have that. He should People should be able to rally and speak,
Right.
and they shouldn't have to fear being shot at. So,
Yeah. Yep.
hope the people in critical at this particular point, hope the people in critical
Pull through it.
condition pull through okay, and then the family of the person that did die, God be with them because
Yep.
they were just at a rally. And again,
Yeah.
politics aside, could have been at a
It's
Biden rally. Doesn't
doesn't matter.
matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
And I'm
Someone
sure we'll
died.
see that now.
Yeah.
That's something I feel like is going to happen. So third thing on that list though was the
Yep.
RTO in the city of Philadelphia. So the new mayor comes in and promises, in as part of her platform, to have all the city workers there, right?
Yeah.
Where the city is there to work for you. And part of that is a full RTO, clear across the board. And got approved.
Yeah.
And the workers, the unions, and all that went and filed for an injunction, et cetera. That was denied. So tomorrow,
Yeah.
Monday, the 15th,
They go.
3,500 additional people back to the office. I'm sure there's going to be battles. They're not going to come back and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to somebody, and I know I could be brash sometimes
Huh?
with
What?
things. Yeah, not me. And I'm just like, and I said, he's telling me, he's like, well, why should they have to go back and this and that? I'm like, who picks up your trash?
Yeah.
Like, they don't get to work at home. Like, well, they
Yeah.
chose that job. I'm like, when
Well,
they chose their job, they had to work in an office.
that's right. That's exactly right.
Like, this shit didn't exist, right? Like, I
No.
get it, times changed. But
Yeah.
there's also a lot of city services and things that require
You
people
got to be there.
to come into the office, right? Like,
That's right.
for people who need services, they need to go into a building,
Right.
into an office to get the services. And a lot of these people are still working at home. So they have to get in the queue on the phone. They don't have the technology.
Sure.
They don't have the systems to run this.
Well, to your
And it's a
point, if
mess.
the DMV, we'll take that as an example, if the DMV was fully automated, it was fully online.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, if I could do all my stuff through
Yeah.
online, like I can get my tags, I can get everything through online. Okay.
Yeah.
If
But it's
I don't have
half.
to go, if I don't have to go to your place,
Right.
if I don't have to go to the DMV, then yeah, cool. You shouldn't have to go there either. But like getting a passport, I gotta go to the building
Yeah.
and get the passport. Now I know
Right.
other people don't do it that way, but it's like if I gotta go there, then the other person's gonna
Yeah.
be on the other side of their window.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Whatever. Back to work, Philly. I'm not in Philly. I'm not going back to work. All right. Last week I spoke about Greece doing the 6-day
mhm,
work week deal,
the
right?
opposite of your 4-day
The
work week. They went the other
opposite of
direction.
well, we're gonna go 3 days. Then
Yeah,
then
they've
there's a
already got one
4-day.
in India. In India, there's a 7-day work week. It's
Yeah,
70
yeah,
hour work week.
yeah.
Anyhow, go ahead.
I'll
Tell me
let
about
you
Greece.
go there.
No,
I'm gonna go somewhere between like
I
the
already worked 70
UK
hours. I'm
and
good.
so
I'm good.
I mean, here's the deal. The results are in. The survey is not happy. It's only been a couple of days, right? The media is just really backing the truck up over these people in Greece. I've never been there. It looks beautiful, right?
Yeah, parts of it
But
are. Yeah,
feels like they have some issues.
Athens is a
So
shithole, but
I mean, some of the photos look really good.
Santorini and Mykonos, gotta
Yeah.
get out of Athens.
So,
But yeah,
so Greece is defending the 6-day work week as exceptional. I'm using air quotes for those that are not watching. But here's the rub. I think Greek work. And I don't think I know because I read it and I trust what
all
it
right.
said. Greek
Yeah,
workers already work 300 hours more yearly than the EU average. That's a lot of extra hours.
that's not shocking. Yeah,
No, yeah. So labor unions are just up in arms. They're fuming. The workers are real pissy. But it's not a mandatory lay down and go to work for 6 days,
right,
right?
right.
If you work, you get paid. If you don't work, you don't get
That's
paid.
right.
So it's
Yeah,
not like I feel like
you
there's a
just go.
lot of to do here for nothing, to be honest. I
Well,
think
there's a
it's just an
tax
option there.
evasion. There's a tax evasion part of this that they're interested in. The government's interested in because they believe strongly that their people aren't paying enough
Hmm.
taxes. So that comes into this as well. If you get paid more, that some of that money comes back to the
Comes
government.
back in, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So they're looking at kind of an economic development play as well, or at least a part of it, maybe not the whole
mm,
thing, but get more production, get more taxes, etc.
yeah.
All right, let me pitch this story to you. OpenAI is collaborating with Huffington Post founder Arianna Huffington to build an AI health coach,
Mm.
right? Kind of makes sense. So she
Hmm.
has the whole Thrive Health and all that type of stuff. So now they're going to build a thing together around a health coach. I found that story at aitoolreport.com. And so you can go look at it there. But basically, you can probably Google it and find it anywhere. First thing that I'd probably say is don't bet against Arianna. She's
No, she's
just
done pretty well.
she's just
She's
smart.
quite intimidating too.
She is
Yeah.
she's on point. She
Yeah.
is on point. But I think this partnership is a good partnership. I think bringing
Sure.
OpenAI, instead of building your own and going that route and saying, let's go build it
Hmm.
and do that. Like, you know what? OpenAI's got a pretty good head start on some of this stuff. Let's just use their
Yeah.
model and let's train it on health.
Yeah.
And so I think they'll be coming to the enterprise. Obviously
Sure.
they'll have
Sure.
a consumer side, but I think they'll be coming to the enterprise as well.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not sure what it is about her. I mean, I follow a lot of her stuff. I've read a lot of her
yeah.
stuff and her writings. When I see her in interviews, I feel intimidated watching the interviews. I don't know why. She's
Um,
I don't know.
I think it's the
She
directness.
Yeah, maybe.
She's very
Yeah.
direct, and
I feel like she's the mafia of media. That's kind of how I've always equated.
well, I don't think it's that. I think she's just very. She comes to me. She comes across very confident
Oh, absolutely.
and
Yeah.
very. I would say Eastern European was what it
Hmm.
reminds me of. Is there's just no BS.
Yeah.
Like it's just straight. Like I have a
Yeah.
question, and it's like very direct. And so
Yeah.
those that you thrive in that space,
Yeah.
and those that don't,
Yeah.
don't.
Well, I just started watching. Well, I told you I watched Godfather, right?
Right?
Which sucked, by the way. So I'm saying it publicly.
Did
It
not.
sucked.
Go ahead.
It was the worst thing I've ever. I'd rather watch Gone with the Wind for crying out loud. But I did start to watch The
Sopranos?
Sopranos. I did. I'm on like episode
Oh,
3. I know
oh, it's
everyone's like, "Oh my God, you never watched it."
no,
No, I
no,
didn't. This is.
no.
I
It's
like
good.
it,
Oh yeah. No,
but
you're
I
gonna
can
like.
see her as like Mrs. Soprano.
Um. Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
because
she
she's
is
got a
like,
toughness to her. Yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah. Anyway, all right. Guitar Center. You know Guitar
Hmm.
Center,
I do
right?
have one
Yeah,
local.
yeah. Guitar Center is going through what we call digital transformation, right? They're taking
Right.
it on. So they brought in a new CTO and CIO, same guy, Adolfo Rodriguez. So I want to talk about this because on the surface, it's a hire.
Right.
But here's what I think this really means. They recently appointed a new CEO, Gabe
Okay.
Del Porto. He started back in October-ish, and then afterwards was appointed, bumped up to CEO. He is hell bent on change. He came in. He's done this in his career. Comes into a company, takes something that's not floundering,
Hmm.
but could be better,
He-
right? Like
He's
it's at
like
that
a
critical.
turnaround specialist.
Yeah, it's like at that point of like, are we going to
Yeah.
be amazing or are we going to be a thing of the past?
Right.
And so I think this is their moment of they don't want to be Toys R Us, right?
Right.
So Toys R Us famously had that option to sell through Amazon,
Yep.
and they didn't. And then Amazon said, "All right, you're dead," and they just did their thing, right?
Yeah.
So Guitar Center, I followed them because I mean, this is just I don't play guitar, but I'm in that space. I love audio, and I follow a lot of that stuff, and I
Oh
buy a lot
yeah.
of stuff from them. But they've been acquired and bought and sold multiple times from PE firms. They've lost their identity. They've gone from we are a high end premium center to an kind of entry
Right.
level. You just want to
Right.
get into it, right? So anyhow, they don't want to. This is their toys. They don't want to be Toys R Us. They need to remain relevant. The job here to make sure is that Guitar Center is staying ahead, not just in tech, but how the tech plays out at the store level. And so this is really what really made me interesting as was interesting to me as I'm reading it. They're actually going through the analysis of why and what they're going to do and how this affects their they didn't call it talent attraction, they called it something else. It was clearly not someone in our space that was writing this, but essentially talent attraction. How are they
Right.
going to attract new people? One. Two, what do they do with all the old people? And I say old because
Mm.
they are older in
Yeah.
age, right? They are
Yeah.
older in age, but they're also older musicians. And the challenge that they have is how do they train the older musicians who went through their gig phase? They went through playing, dive bars and maybe had a thing or two, a record deal or two. They're at the store level now. How do they get them to work in new technology? They're bringing AI into the stores. They're changing the
Yep.
experience. They're changing that whole thing. And now they're going to start working with their internal employees at the store level who are older to train them back into what they want their store to be. And as they bring in new people, I'm curious to see how this is going to work, where the clash is going to be, because the younger generation, the older generation, there's going to be I think there's going to be a standoff there. I don't think it's going to be that big of a standoff. They're not going to be battling and having a war over
Right.
the stores. But
Unless it's a guitar battle.
unless it's a guitar battle, that'd be pretty cool. But it actually is it's actually a thing, because we've seen this in retail a lot,
Yep.
where you just have a younger generation that has a
Adapt or
different
die.
view. Adapt or die, and I think this is their stand. Like, this is their adapt or die moment.
Yeah.
Um,
You want to be Toys R Us or Blockbuster or whatever? Again, Blockbuster could have bought Netflix for I can't remember. It was a pittance. It was a tiny fee.
$53. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
it
like,
was nothing. Like
yeah,
Netflix, or the people that had interest in a Netflix, they pitched it to Blockbuster to buy, and
yeah.
Blockbuster
I don't think
passed on the
Netflix could
deal.
be what Netflix is had
No,
Blockbuster bought it. I
100%.
think Blockbuster is Blockbuster.
They'd have shelved it.
Toys R Us was Toys R Us.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's okay. Sometimes things run their thing. The world would be very different if
But
Blockbuster bought Netflix.
your point about digital transformation and how that impacts the employee experience,
Mm-hmm.
and again, the customer experience, because it's a consumer
Yeah,
facing, but the employee experience from on out from finding that talent all the way
yeah.
throughout, they're going to have to do different things, and that's going to be
Wow.
with all the generations. So it's a really good story. We'll have to
Yeah.
keep an eye on how it plays out.
Yeah, interested for this one.
All right, let me pitch you this story. So this is actually not a story. This is a tech that I found accidentally, and it's
Okay.
called Zilta,
Zilta.
ZILTA.io.
Hmm.
Now let me tell you what this is, and then I'll tell you why I think it's fascinating. Engage with an AI interview tailored to your target role and job description, and experience a relevant, realistic interview to prepare you for your final boss.
Hmm.
So let that sink in.
So this is not a real interview. This is a
No,
VR based
that's right.
interview
That's
that we
right.
get. Okay.
So I'm fascinated by just this idea that,
Yeah.
okay, this
Huh.
technology could you just upload the job description. Great. You uploaded your resume. Okay, fantastic. And then all of a sudden it goes and finds out information about the company, the recruiter, the hiring manager, the team, everything. And now it
I dig
spits
that.
back that interview, and you can do as many interviews as you want. So you can, as a
Hmm.
candidate, so you can just sit in there and interview and just go through it, and they'll put
I
different
I
people.
dig that.
It's a trip,
Yeah.
man. They'll
This
put
is
different people in front of you, different
yeah.
avatars, different people in front of you going, all right, now, Sandy, you said that you were really great at so and so. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And now you've got to practice those questions, but
Ah.
again,
Yeah, I like that. This is like
looking
what we were
people
just at
like you.
Cornerstone, and
Yeah.
we went through a VR. I went through a
Yep.
performance review.
I went through onboarding. Yeah.
Oh, I'm probably got fired after that fucking thing. But I gotta tell you, it was it was
It
bad.
was,
I think it
it
was
was,
mostly because there were people around me, and I didn't want to talk out loud. I was kind of like, is everyone listening to me here? You know,
yeah.
but if I was in a room by myself,
Oh,
I'd be
dude,
totally comfortable with it.
100%.
But it was
And
like it was legit. It was
uh,
realistic. I was like, wow, you're like literally sitting in front of me. I could reach out and smack you. Like,
and that
that's what it felt
interviewer
like.
can ask you anything about the company. Hey, do you understand our
Yeah,
values? Tell us a little bit about like what you like, all that stuff.
yeah,
They can now ask you things, and you
yeah.
can just prepare. So, I mean, again, it's a
I
tech.
like it.
Is it news? No, it's just really kind of fascinating to see something that's going to
No,
help
it's a good to know.
candidates.
If we had a star award
There you
for
go.
a
You
good
get a star.
story, you would get a star for
Zilta,
that one.
ZILTA.io. Completely found it through Google. It's
Nice.
just, I just looked at it. I'm like, oh, this is dope. So,
Dig it.
anyhow,
Yeah, I like it. All right. Lattice. Lattice is doing something cool. So Lattice is to become the first company to introduce digital worker employee records. So this is pretty wild. Check this out. The conversation around digital workers has largely been, or not largely, it has been
Yeah,
theoretical up until this point, right? With digital workers, and we've seen them a couple different variations of them. The the AI workforce is here, and Lattice is now treating them like you and me. They
right. They
are
have employee
employees.
records.
They have
Yeah,
employee records, right? So the idea is that they're going to bring the AI employees through all of the same steps as the human.
yep,
So onboarding, goal setting, feedback,
yep,
performance reviews, all of that. And I thought to myself, well, that's pretty stupid. Although I know it's not, right? Because I often find myself talking with AI that I work with like a human, like it's literally my friend. And I
right.
say good morning, and I don't have to say good morning to it,
Yeah, you're
but I feel
nicer
like
to your chat GTP than
I
I am.
kind of feel like I need to say good morning. I say good morning. It says good morning. How are you
Yeah.
today? I said I'm
Alexa, are
great.
you having a good
And I
day?
and I
No.
Alexa, how you doing? Like, but it's actually what I found. This is interesting because I'm sure other people. Well, the fact that I say I'm sure other people think this probably means I'm the only one
Yeah,
that does.
100%.
I feel like if I talk to my AI as if they are sitting
It's
here, you,
technically
as
not your AI, but go ahead and run
like
with it.
is my AI, and I'm like, hey man, what's going on? And
Mm.
I talk to it. It
It's just a
feels
large language model that you have no ownership of. But go ahead, run with it.
it feels better to me. It feels better to me, and I feel like
See,
I get better answers.
all right.
And
So
if
let me give you the counter. To let me give you the counter to this
the
story.
comment section is just going right now, you're an asshole. You're
Yes.
an asshole.
So no, 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 no. It's not about that. On LinkedIn, the CEO posted about this. So obviously, you got this from a press release,
About
and yeah, about this very thing about AI becoming employees,
oh,
doing
got it.
this whole
Okay, okay.
process. So the latest CEO, it's a new CEO. So
Hmm?
Jack stepped down, and she came on board. I think her name's Sarah, but I can't really look at that right now. But the comment section in LinkedIn is tearing her apart.
For this,
Like, yes,
really?
for this, it's all HR people. It's all HR, and not just HR people. It's
Why?
other
I haven't.
AI
I'm gonna have to
people.
go through and look at it. What do they say?
Oh, they're
This is interesting.
taking her to the task because it's just like, you just take the H out of our HR, just make it R.
No,
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 but
I
no, no,
don't.
no,
I
no.
don't.
It's again, I have no dog in this fight. I'm just saying that Lori just wrote about it, so it's
Hmm.
on. Lori just wrote about it as well. Lori Ruderman, Punk
Hmm?
Rock or HR. So you can read that article. She'll get you to think. But you can just go look up the CEO of Lattice, and in her
Hmm.
postings, go find the original post. And dude, it's
I'm
like
gonna
the
go
YouTube.
look. Yeah,
It's like the YouTube comments. Like
yeah,
that's where
yeah,
humanity goes to die. Like
yeah,
it is.
yeah. But
They're tearing her apart.
like, I'm into this though. I really think I'm into this, and
I know. Well, she
it,
is too.
yeah, clearly, yeah. I might not want to say
Clearly.
this publicly, but it's like,
Yeah.
think about it. If I have an
No.
AI assistant, but I can communicate with them, and it gets smart enough that
Well, it's
I
not
can
about
give it a
communication. It's about treatment.
treatment, right? Yeah, treatment.
And
Yeah, and
Lattice has taken a position we're not going to create second-class citizens.
right.
Insofar as we're going to treat robots different than employees, we're going to
Yeah,
treat them equally. Okay, so it's the equal treatment of output of work.
yeah.
Okay, like that logically, whether or
Hmm.
not emotionally I can deal with that, logically you can kind of connect those things. Now
Right
it's the
now,
emotional part of saying,
yeah.
well, and I think some of that's FOBO. It's the fear of being
Hmm.
obsolete. Is people are like, well, wait a minute, if we're going to start onboarding them and goal setting and receiving feedback, they're just like us. Well,
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, but
walks
how
like a
much
duck.
tech? Yeah. How much technology? Did you? And don't obviously need to answer, but for people listening and watching, think of the technology that you've used through the years, and you've thought,
Hmm.
God damn, I wish it would do this. I
Yeah,
wish it would get better at this. This is the opportunity for it to
yeah,
be better by you saying, like, if you pay for ChatGPT 4, right? You pay for their services. you can update it. You can say, no, this
Hmm.
is wrong. This is not how I would say this.
Right. Right.
And it will update its memory, and then it will ask you, and it'll go through that process with you and learn about you. And so, yeah, I mean, all the years that we've been thinking, oh man, I wish it would just do this. I wish it, this is it. This is what we're
For
now. It doesn't mean it's better than you, it's better than
no.
another human. But if I have an assistant, I want them to be pretty human or not. I want it to be good. People with that Apple Watch or any watch that like does all this, it's like, oh, damn it, it's wrong. I want to do this. Teach it. Like this is your moment to teach it.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm with you, Lattice. I'm with you. I'm with you.
I'm not with anybody. Just read the comments and come to your own decision. I'm not going to say pro or con.
Oh gosh.
All right, let me pitch you this story I found on TechCrunch. It's data workers detail exploitation by the tech industry in the Data Workers Inquiry Report. So you go to TechCrunch and look at this. So basically, and this is just an example from the article, when you report a post, it doesn't say, great, we'll send this to a guy in Syria who will pay 3 cents to take care of it. So this is countries uh, that benefit, if you will. We benefit from cheap labor. They benefit from some type of revenue that comes from this stuff. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
torn. But it's actually a really, really interesting. I've never thought of this before. I mean, in this sense, I've thought about like child labor in China, or got
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Like all that stuff made sense to me but from a tech perspective, I've never actually thought of, okay, the triage stuff that happens it doesn't necessarily happen here in the U.S. It happens elsewhere, and in Ghana, or
Mm-hmm.
pick a place, and so then now why I'm torn is like, okay, is 3 cents in Syria, if you're a Syrian, is 3 cents better than no cents? Because they could clearly train and probably will train AI to take care of the stuff,
Yeah.
right? So it becomes an ethical dilemma in the sense of, okay, 3 cents is wherever you live, 3 cents isn't a lot of money. But
No.
if it comes to, okay, yeah, you feel like you're being exploited, okay, cool. We're going to develop more of an AI model that then take care of those reports, so that you know what, you won't feel exploited. Now you won't also have that job. So now what? So there's I mean, people that dig into this, like they love ethical dilemmas.
This is fun.
This is a really interesting one. Go to TechCrunch Data Workers Inquiry Report.
All right. All right. Into it. This
Mm.
I did not
Are you
pick.
into it?
I'm into it. This maybe I'm not. I don't know. This my stories are just gonna get me in trouble today. So into into it. Is tell you, Friday was bad.
Mm.
Sunday is getting worse. I just
Hmm.
tell you. So
Mm.
Intuit confirms layoffs are moved that their layoffs are moving forward. So they a while ago said that potential they're going to be
Yeah,
moving in a certain direction. Now they've
that was a
confirmed.
that was a soft,
Yeah, it's a
so it's a
soft
soft
warning. Yeah,
warning.
like hey guys, just letting you
Ah,
know.
yeah,
Yeah, it's happening, right? So again, Intuit, big company, 1,800 people, 10% of its workforce. Um, but AI ambitions is what's leading the way. So this isn't oh, AI is taking my job. This is, yeah,
yeah,
AI is taking your job
yeah,
for
because they're
this,
going
right?
to reinvest the money in AI.
They are reinvesting the money
Mm.
into AI. And I think we're going to see more of this over the next couple of years. So
Yeah,
it's 1,800 people, 10% of its workforce. Um, the shift is what the shift is interesting here. It's highlighting the growing importance of AI and HR TA. Okay, now we've talked about this a lot: training,
right.
upskilling, the whole bit. The reorg aims to hire in growth areas, engineering, customer-facing roles, all within this next year. So, of course, they promise generous severance packages and support packages, and it seems like they're actually coming through on that promise. I'm not in that position, so it's, I'm sure it's harsh on the people that are in that. Now, a lot of these people will have the opportunity to reapply for their roles. They're just laying them off. and this isn't me justifying this is what they're talking
Right.
about.
No, I got you.
It's one of these situations where they're laying people off and now saying, okay, here's where we're reinvesting the money. Here are the types of roles moving forward. Where do you fit? I don't know if this is the best way, but again, this is way over my pay grade, right? Smarter people are looking at this.
It's a
Uh,
reallocation of capital.
well, it's
So
exactly what it is. Yeah. I
yep,
don't know if laying the people off to have them reapply. School districts do that here, and I think that's asinine. So I don't
yeah,
really think that's what this is. I think it's just like, you know what, guys, go away. We're going to rehire the right people.
right,
Yeah.
right. And again, like it or not, that's happening and will continue to happen.
Yeah. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing.
No, if you're a business owner, if you're the chairman of the board of
It's right.
Intuit, you if you're not redeploying capital all the time, you're not doing your job.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
And
you
this is, I mean, look, we can get in arguments with this for, you know,
no,
80,000 reasons. It's
yeah,
greedy CEOs and greedy companies. But I mean, look, companies are in business to make money. They're in
turns
business
out
for business, and they've got to continue to grow. And if Intuit doesn't do stuff like this, or if Apple doesn't do stuff like they do, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, CEO salaries apart, all that stuff,
it's
they're
different.
not going to
Yeah,
be around. Use the example
adapt or
from
die.
earlier. Yeah, use the example from earlier. Toys R Us.
Yep.
They said, hey, we're staying loyal. We're going to do this. We're
Mm.
going to stay to our history. Where's Toys R Us? There's no more Jeffrey the Giraffe. Is that Jeffrey? Was that Toys R Us?
You're on your own.
No. Might have been Jeffrey. I
I'm gonna
think it
leave. I'm gonna leave you on that limb. Sorry.
was. All right. Talk about
All right,
some acquisitions.
let's do that. Let's do Chime acquires enterprise employee rewards company Salt Labs. So Chime simultaneously launches Chime Enterprise to partner with employers, creating a new channel to grow the member base and accelerate growth. So you can go to chime.com and read all about that. But basically, Chime is a banking app,
Mm.
right? So everyone's kind of heard of it or seen the commercials, etc. So Chime's a banking app. Salt Labs employee rewards, enterprise employee rewards. So now this is just kind of smart money, right? Chime opens up by this acquisition, it opens up the enterprise to them. So it's a B2C play
Hmm.
at its core, and now now has an enterprise play, and it's going to come in through rewards, and it'll do other stuff other than that. Clearly, we might see a spree of Chime acquisitions that are into the enterprise, maybe
Okay.
even more specifically into HR. So good for them. I just think it's just smart money, smart strategy when you're a B2C play, and then say, well, you know what? There's another market. There's businesses that
Hmm.
we're not serving. Let's get in. And so good for them. Good for Salt Labs for being acquired. Good for Chime. Good for their customers.
Good for everybody.
Good for everybody.
Maybe. All right. IBM. So this isn't an acquisition, but I think it's significant, and I didn't know what
Hmm.
else to talk about it. So here we go. IBM and HCL Tech announced Generative AI Center of Excellence. So they're putting together a center of excellence.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and this is going to have a direct impact to HR Tech. Not the conference, just HR Tech, Work Tech in general,
Right.
on how AI is integrated into the current and future workflows of how we deal with the enterprise. So this is a training mission. They're training about 10,000 engineers on IBM's Watson X. This
Right.
means that HR departments are going to gain access to all of these sophisticated and complex AI tools that run through Watson for TA, performance management, and employee engagement. There's other use cases in other industries, but specifically for HR tech, where they were talking about this, those are the three areas that companies that are already leveraging certain tools, but especially the IBM and Watson platform will now have additional access or additional abilities here through these
See,
trainings.
I think IBM made a mistake with Watson in the
A long
sense
time ago.
of they were there first,
Hmm.
really. I mean, they were there in a big way, talking about it, Super Bowl commercials, all that stuff,
Yeah,
and then they let off the pedal for some
they did.
reason,
Well, they did the
and it's
Jeopardy thing, and it became a
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
and it's like You let AI, OpenAI, and all these other tools come up and
Yeah.
outspend you. So it's like we talk about the redeployment of capital.
Yeah.
So somewhere in that process, they're like, okay, we got Watson out there, it's doing good stuff, and then let's direct capital somewhere else.
Yeah.
They should have tripled down, like, because now ChatGPT, when we say, hey, listen, that's what we use. I'm not just a tool, but that's how we talk about it. We
Yeah.
don't say Watson. We could
Yeah.
have easily been saying, well, Watson that,
Yeah. Yeah.
do that, and we're not.
Yeah.
So
Well,
good for
and
them.
less.
I do like a center of excellence. So
Yeah. Well, in less than 10
I do
years,
like that.
I think we all thought that was going to happen. Yes, less
Yeah,
than 10 years ago, right? It's almost like, and I say this with a lot of love to the IBM people,
yeah.
not really, but I feel like you always say PR or whatever it is where a good idea goes to die, right? Or whatever, legal, whatever it is.
Legal and PR. Yeah,
Yeah, like this is how I feel about IBM. Ever since they've acquired Connexo when I was there,
yeah.
I feel like great ideas go to IBM to die.
It's like SoftBank. Yeah,
Yeah,
SoftBank acquires companies. No
and they
one knows
die.
what happens
Yeah,
after that.
yeah.
Yeah,
They take a
yeah.
small piece and it goes from there. And, I mean, clearly they're doing a hell of a lot better than me.
They've
So
been
they know
around
what
for
they're
a
doing.
100+ years, so
They know what they're doing, right?
no
So
hate.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like it's the old big blue,
Yep.
and people just like to pounce on them and make fun of them, and use them as the butt of the jokes. Clearly they're doing it well, but I agree with you. I think Watson.
They
I
had the
mean,
opportunity.
it's doing ridiculous things. Like it is doing things.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you actually go in and read, and I just because I was there for a while, I know and I followed them. It's they're doing things with Watson that we couldn't even fathom and
Right.
imagine. And like,
But for whatever reason, it's not hitting the mass market.
well, it's
Like,
it's in mass market. It's just not mainstream news.
yes, there you
I
go.
don't
It's
think they
more
care about that, but
right.
but we do, so they should do it.
Well, they should have never let off the pedal. They should have
Yeah,
doubled, tripled, quadrupled down and
yeah,
made it like we talk about Google. Hey, why don't you just Google that? It should have
yeah.
been, hey, why
Watching
don't you
that,
watch Watson that?
yeah, something, yeah.
So
So yeah,
shame
well,
on them.
there we go.
Shame on them. All right, let me give you a last acquisition we got to talk about. Pep Talk Her. Let's go ahead and leave that in the air for just a moment. That's the name of a company. Acquires Medicool to expand global reach. Deal marks a significant milestone for both female-founded organizations seeking to foster professional growth and equitable pay among women.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness SHRM just got rid of equity. Just
Right?
kidding.
Yeah.
So that's peptalkher.com. Again, that name is peptalkher.com. I guess something other than that wasn't available when they came up with that name. So
Yeah.
Pep Talk Her is
You
like
just
it's
like
always
the name. Pep Talker acquires Medicool.
Pep Talker. I can't make it work in my brain. I can't make that
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
can't make it funny or
But
cool.
acquires Medicool.
Medical,
Medical. Two good names. I don't know.
medical. All
Medical.
right, how cool are you? I'm medical. All right.
Yeah.
So think Fitbit for your career. This is an example of consolidation. So you have two businesses that are ish doing similar things in a similar market for a
Hmm.
similar audience. So this is a consolidation. These two, it looks like they're actually more of a merger. They're coming together and they're going to go to market together. So maybe a 1 + 1 = 4. So
Yeah.
hopefully this is they'll grow faster and get and again there's pay equity and giving insight to women and women's
Hmm.
careers and having I've always liked that. Very good. Fairy God Boss is a
Yeah.
great example of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's now part of the Muse. Like I love plays like that because it's like this is a safe environment for you to talk about the
Yeah.
fuckery that happens in companies. Great, done. Like
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Pay equity. No one can
Yeah.
come up with a great argument against pay equity. So, but this acquisition is consolidation. So we'll see more consolidation
Yeah.
as we go forward in the next 2 or 3 years. It's a good. I think it's good for everybody. I think it's good for all the organizations. So
Yeah.
congratulations to Pep Talker and Medical.
Medicool.
How cool are you?
A Medicool.
There you go.
All right, the doom loop, right? Let's talk about
Mm,
some research here. The
I'm
doom
down.
loop. So I actually when I found this report, I thought it was I like the name Doom Loop. The Doom Loop. I've never really heard that before. Have you?
No,
I like it.
no, is
Yeah,
a new
I
term
like
to me as
yeah,
well.
the Doom Loop. So the Doom Loop, for those that don't know, is a loop that you fall into of creating a negative work environment. The doom and
Mm-hmm.
gloom of a work environment. So William is my manager. He's grumpy pants. He makes
That's
me
right.
grumpy. I make them grumpy. Everybody's grumpy. We all get hangry. Nothing gets done. Everybody
Like a
quits.
shame spiral. Yep.
Yeah, it's just exact. Yeah, and so the report looks at a major issue that 27% of employees are at high risk for burnout, and they call this the doom loop.
Yep.
Um, I I like this. I like this report. It was very interesting. I actually read it, most of it. All right, half
Scanned
of
it.
it. I
Threw it
scanned.
into Chat GPT and said
If I keep
summarize.
if I keep saying this, I'm just gonna get down to I
Never.
read the title.
Never. Yeah.
So
Just never.
it talks about how burnout's contagious, impacting the managers and their team. Interestingly, though, this isn't a push to use more tech. This is
No.
about caring for your employees and helping
Yeah.
them manage their well-being, which also includes financial literacy, okay, as well as health. This is what makes people happy, keeping them happy at work, giving them the tools and resources to be happy at home, and then working with your manager so that William is not a grumpy pants making me grumpy and everyone else.
Right. Yeah, getting out of the cycle. So Workday did I mean, it's a Workday Voice of Employer report
Hmm.
is the report. And you can find this at blog.workday.com. So you can go there. You just probably type in doom loop, and it's probably already optimized.
Hmm.
First of all, the report itself not only um, list out all of the stats that you're talking about and kind of, okay, what's the problem? But what I liked about the report is it also offers up suggestions on how to fix the doom loop. So I think, I think Workday did a great job. I think their research team did a great job. And
We often
the
do.
doom loop was a new term for me. So learned something in the process. So
Yep.
good on them. Alrighty, let me pitch this one to you. It's the HR software market size and forecast report. So the market size was valued at 15.59 billion in 2020. It is projected to be 33.57 billion in 28. So in 8 years it will have doubled. It says verified market research. So if you go to verifiedmarketresearch.com, type in HR software market, it'll tell you all those things. But this also kind of coincides with some things we've talked about, I think 2 weeks ago, where we talked about more buyers, that there's going to be a ton of buying in 25,
Hmm.
so that they've got like there's a pressure to get right with their tech stack. And so you can kind of see that. You can also see a lot of AI and Gen AI. So it kind of coincides with a lot of other things. So we knew it was a huge market.
Yep.
Not shocking, not shocking. We knew that, but doubling the market size in 8 years, anybody
Significant.
from Wall Street to Main Street would like that. So
Yeah,
game on.
I agree with that. All right. Gartner makes the list this week. They ran a
Oh,
survey. Yeah, they
okay,
ran a survey on sustainability. Well, they ran a survey on other things, but
right,
69% of CEOs view sustainability as a growth opportunity. All right.
interesting.
So I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah, okay.
I know you're going to give me the answer.
Yeah, I only have one gear. Go ahead.
How do you like your feedback? Um, so do you think I'm a cynic when it comes to organizations caring about just caring?
No, I think you're being a realist. I
Yeah.
don't think
Oh,
organizations care past the
yeah.
point of that they have to.
That they exactly
That's
right. So
that's the line.
all right. Okay. So you confirming what I already know,
100%.
right? CEOs see sustainability as a way to
To make
gain
money.
market share, make
Right.
money, right? Gain the market.
Again, that's their
And
job.
That's their
That's their
job, right?
job. That's what you're
And
paying them
that's
millions of dollars for.
exactly. And the opportunity to attract the best people.
Hmm.
End game is okay, all of these things they're doing, good for the earth.
Yeah,
Thank you.
ish.
Right? And they should be able to do that with the money that they're making. There's always room to do good. But the motivations aren't, I don't believe the motivations are to do good. It's to win, and they should. Not shocking, but in case you needed confirmation, 69% of CEOs view sustainability as a growth opportunity. Now,
Yeah,
this isn't my opinion. This is what CEOs are saying. They're saying, yeah, we
yeah.
agree with
It's a
sustainability.
Gartner
We
survey.
want to do good. Yeah, we want to do well, but we are going to grow by doing this. People are going to like us. We're going to
I,
earn more
I,
money, gain more market share.
I had a CEO tell me one time about corporate giving
Hmm.
and doing a bunch of things,
Yeah.
and it was just him and I. He was an alumnus of one of my schools, and he said, "Listen, no, I don't believe in corporate giving." And I said, "Well, do tell," because I was into at that time I was really into
Hmm.
corporate giving. So I'm like, "Well, do tell." He goes, "We pay above market rates to all of our employees. Who are we to tell
Right.
them where we're going to donate money?
Right.
That we're going to pay them more, and if
Right.
they want to give money to something,
They
great.
can go do that.
If they don't, great. We're just going
It's
to put more
interesting.
money." Like his take, which I still find fascinating, 30 something years later,
Hmm.
is that you know what? We're just going to put more money. Our job is to put more money, grow market share, revenue, all
Yeah.
the parts of business, and to put more money in their pockets. If
Yeah.
we put more money in their pockets, they then can do whatever. If they don't want to invest in a
Hmm.
nonprofit or give to a nonprofit, well, then they don't give to a nonprofit. That's
Right.
not our job.
Right.
And
Right.
it
Right.
was a
Right. Right.
fascinating for me because I was really into corporate giving at the time, and
Hmm.
so it was fascinating to hear someone give me a really school me on you know what? Yeah,
Yeah. It's
that's
not our
fair.
job. You know,
Again, if you're paying above market rate, now if you're paying below market rate, like your wages are crap,
yeah.
and then
Well,
you're also not helping your community,
yeah. Well,
okay,
you're
maybe
just a
we can
bad
talk.
company, right?
You're
Yeah. But
just
then
a,
there's the other option of don't pay. You're not paying market rate, but you're giving and you're a
yeah,
mission based. You're in it to
that's
make
a
money.
different bit.
So
That's a different bit.
it's interesting though because a long time ago, obviously I worked at Connexa, and they
Hmm.
always had this thing where you would be entered into drawings for meeting certain goals and things like that. And
Okay.
when the company hit certain levels, they would do certain things. So every year that I was there, I lost. I didn't win shit. People were winning, so it was
It was
called.
rigged. Come
Yeah,
on,
it was called. I think it was called the Sailing Bonanza, right? And so people that are listening from Conexa, I know y'all love this because it was what made me stay some years. But I was just like, I'm gonna win this thing. And so you got to pick whatever you wanted to do based on the letter. So if you landed on an A, you can say I want to go to Aruba. Like that type
Ah,
of stuff. Like yeah, and so
Rudy was such a genius.
ridiculous, right?
God.
We had Don and forget his own man. I shouldn't even say that. I'm gonna forget his wife. Anyway, they went to Bora Bora, and I'm like, God damn, like that's something. Another
Man, I
woman,
can't even spell Bora Bora.
yeah, another woman. She got a brand new kitchen. Like she got a brand new $50,000 kitchen makeover. Like this is what Conexa did until the year that I won. $25 donations to the charity of your choice in gift card. That was the
Oh,
moment I said,
oh, that's hateful.
yeah.
That's
And
hateful.
then we were acquired, so it all obviously makes sense, right? But
Yeah, they're
I,
probably in a quiet
yeah,
period and couldn't
when
do
a
stuff like
company
that.
does that, I say that because you're telling your story of
Yeah,
corporate giving. That's kind of how I felt. I'm like,
yeah.
yeah,
They
don't
just pay me
don't
more.
yeah. I'd rather you give me $25 bonus to go get lunch down at the corner store than to tell me you're going to donate $25 to a
Yeah,
charity in my name. I don't give a
yeah.
shit about that.
That's
That doesn't do anything for me. I was mad. I was mostly mad because the year
you want to
before
go
it
to
was
what was the
horrible.
letter? What was the letter? Can you
Oh,
remember?
I just got picked. They just at that point they were just picking out of a hat.
Oh, got it.
Um,
Got it.
but for the all the years prior to that, Like I'm
Yeah,
watching people get brand new kitchens. One person got a card, the other went to Bora Bora, and I'm like, huh, I get $25 donation. Like
dude.
I never
Uh,
even said where I wanted the money to go because I didn't
I,
care.
I would have a destination for every single letter. I would have a
Anyway,
destination in mind. Boom.
that was the
All right.
only negative experience I've ever had at Connexa. So Rudy, if you're listening,
We
Bora
love you.
Bora would be fantastic
Yeah.
to make up for that.
We, we could do the podcast for Bora Bora. So, I mean, I'm not saying maybe you should sponsor it.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
let me give you this story because this came out of left field and the sources out of left field as well. So, U.S. companies ramp up automation and AI as inflation persists. Okay. Nearly
mhm.
2/3 of CFOs say their companies have a strategic priority to automate tasks typically performed by employees. Among firms that plan to automate in the next 12 months, a majority is expected to implement AI to perform a wide range of tasks. Now, these are things we know, but we're seeing it from a CEO's perspective, which is very interesting. Now, this is actually put on by the Federal Reserve banks of both Richmond and Atlanta and Duke. So three, let's say, respected organizations. They went out to a bunch of CFOs. So CFOs are looking at AI much differently than we are.
Mhm.
Okay, they're looking at it like they're looking at, okay, this is a replacement. So when we say it's FOBO's at DEFCON 1. My
Right.
advice as I'm thinking about this is reskill, learn how to use AI, Gen AI, and find a place in the market where AI won't impact you for the next few years.
Hmm.
That's my advice. It's because it's going to hit it's going to hit a lot of things, but CFOs are going to look at this isn't HR looking at it, or even the business. This is CFOs looking at it like we're spending money over here.
Yeah.
Well, on labor costs it's the number one expense for almost every business. What can we do to reduce labor costs? And they see AI as a way of reducing labor costs.
Mm.
So and again, that's their job.
Mhm.
So I'm not
Mhm.
no hate on CFOs. That's actually their job. So
Mhm.
if you want to look that up, that's at richmondfed.org. So that's the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond. And so go there and like read the report, but it's all looking again. It's a different lens because it's looking through the CFO's
Right.
eyes to see this and see the opportunity and the impact on the bottom line.
Got it. HR tech investments aren't delivering. Did you know that?
Mm, I did not
Technology
know
isn't,
that.
but technology isn't the problem. So this is actually another Gartner report. I found this on
Right.
Rework, but it's actually a Gartner report. So about 24% of HR functions uh, are only about 24% of HR functions are said to be maximizing their HR tech. So this is a wake up call, right? So poor implementation,
Yep.
integration issues, they're killing potential. Roughly 35% of the CEOs that were interviewed or took the survey and were interviewed uh, feel like they've got it under control right now.
Mm-hmm.
And these are enterprise level companies. Bad policy executed faster is still bad policy,
Right.
and this is what they're battling. There's misalignment in the organization. This is what the survey talks about and the report talks about. There's misalignment in the organization where there are some that want to get specific things answered, specific questions answered, and things done within the organization. Others want to push it through. We have new tech. Let's get it in. Let's get it implemented. Let's get people on it. Sometimes there's a year-long process to get
Oh,
people onto a technology, right? There could be a 2-year process,
oh yeah.
and yeah, and so there's misalignment within these companies, and so that's what they're saying here about roughly 24%. Think of that. That's a
It's a big number.
big number. 75 out of every 100 companies are buying technology and shitting the bed with technology. Not only are they doing that, their employees are getting frustrated. They're
Yeah.
they're not working.
It
They're not productive.
impacts their experience. Yeah.
The doom loop happens, right? So all this stuff we're talking about actually just kind of works together. In the end, Lack of trust, lack of credibility. Employees move on. They got to bring new employees in, retrain, redo this, and the technology never gets implemented.
Right.
Sounds like a
Yeah,
lose-lose situation.
it's usage. I mean, studying user adoption for so many years, you learn that it's a game of consumption, right? It ultimately, it's a game of how much of this can I consume,
Right.
how much of this can I adopt or use, etc. And so, like my opening bit with a lot of people or a lot of presentations and speaking engagements was a feature isn't a feature if people don't use it.
That's
And
right.
so a lot of software companies that have developed super feature-rich, solutions, again, if people don't use it, it's a big giant who gives a shit.
Tree falls in the forest.
A tree falls in the forest, baby.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, getting people to use the technology is a game.
Right.
It's a game that can be won. So for anybody that's listening, it's like, okay, the doom loop. No. It's a game that can be won.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there's an intentionality and training that
Right.
has to be done. And
Right.
if you're not intentional about both the purchase of technology and then the
Not getting
implementation,
done.
because in our generation, the purchase was the most important part. It's like, let's go through the short list, let's do the demos, and let's pick the technology and sign the
Mm-hmm.
contract, and then celebration. We did the hard work. That's not the hard work. It never
Right.
was. The hard work starts once you have the technology
Right.
and getting people to fall in love with the technology that you have.
Yep.
And because it does all the stuff that the technology company promised. Well, it does some of the stuff.
Mm-hmm. Most of it.
Majority of the things of the stuff that the technology promised.
And
But it,
probably would do them all if you knew how to use it.
point taken. And now, but it impacts the employee experience.
Sure.
And that's where that doom loop Workday.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that doom loop comes up. Is if they're not using, and they have a crappy experience, then their journey with the company is worse because of the technology,
Right.
not the job, not not the
Mm-hmm.
game. But it becomes now they hate logging into that system.
Right.
They love their
And
job. They love the people that they're working with. They love their
yeah.
boss.
Yeah.
They just hate the technology they have to log into.
And the rest goes downhill from there.
All right, let me get you. I got two more research things I want to tell you a little bit about. This one's fascinating. Study reveals the prevalence and impact of work surveillance. So have you thought about work surveillance lately?
No, because if there's cameras in this office, there's a bigger problem
Well,
than work surveillance.
you're thinking about cameras, but there's other ways to surveil. All right. So
Yeah,
this was this
that's true.
report, securedatarecovery.com. So securedatarecovery.com. It's on their blog. It's a report, surveillance, prevalence, impact. All right. So I could make a case on both sides for more surveillance or more privacy. So if I was pushed into a corner, I could debate either side of this. Okay, it's a delicate balance, in my opinion, between leaders need to consider, like whether or not you need to understand more about what's going on with your workforce, or keeping it private, separation between business and personal and whatever. So the decision is made with, I think, if done well, it's made with transparency and accountability and communication. It's got to be critical to leaders as they figure out where their position is and communicating. So some finding, I'll give you three things. 40% of workers say workplace surveillance hurts mental health. So somebody's looking at my email. Somebody's looking at my, Slack messages, my personal Slack messages, or, one-on-one Slack messages, whatever. So that impacts mental health. Okay, let's consume that. 71% of workers say that surveillance is unethical. Big number and a big word. Unethical. That's going pretty. I mean, that's you're laying it
I,
out there. Go ahead.
yeah. No, I feel like these people have never worked before.
Well, that would be actually really interesting if they had the demographic data. No, no, to your point, that's a really good point, right?
Yeah,
To then slice that and go under 30 or under
yeah,
25,
yeah.
right? Okay. Sorry, last data point from this one. 75% of workers say surveillance decreases job satisfaction. That's
Hmm.
three-fourths, babies. Three
I
fourths
I
of
could
the
get behind the
people,
third one. Okay, I can
job
see that.
satisfaction.
Yeah, I can see that. You kind of like, all
But
right, why are you
but if
doing
the
this? Why are you
company
interrupting?
communicated to you, but if the so if the company communicated and said, hey, this is what
Mm-hmm.
we do. We look at your email, not in specific. We look at metadata in
Mm-hmm.
your email to find out if there's things that we should be doing better as a company. And they communicated all the why and the how and all that type of stuff.
I have
Would
to
you?
look at it from I have to if I remove myself from all of my experience and the world that
Right,
we live in,
right.
I would probably be a little upset about that. I would feel Big
Really?
Brother.
Even if it was communicated?
Yeah. But because
Okay.
I'm in this space
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
understand truly what that information can help companies do,
Yeah,
a little more educated on that, and I can kind of vision it because I'm interested in it. I'm okay with that because I think maybe this is where I could be a little naive. I trust that it is anonymous. I trust that they are only looking at sentiment and things I'm saying
right,
and how we're doing it and using that to move the business forward. I could see easily and even more than how I would personally see it, how others would see it as no way.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Surveillance. So
Mhm.
surveillance and mental health, two things that I would never
Mm.
necessarily put together.
Yeah.
And there
Sometimes
they are.
I think it's yeah.
Go
Well.
take a look at that. Go take a look at that report. All right. Last one for the R, the research. 1 in 3 companies stopped requiring stop requiring bachelor degrees for some positions this year. It says Intelligent. It's the
Mhm.
name of the company, Intelligent. So 1 in 3 companies stopped requiring bachelor's degrees for some positions this year. All right, all right. So that's a number. That's a good number. Let's say. So that can be found at intelligent.com. You can go look at the study yourself. And this tracks for me because we're inundated with skills based, etc. And at the end of the day, if it is based on skills, focusing on skills and reskilling, upskilling, etc., if you can do the job, who cares if you
Mhm.
attended or graduated from college? Hard stop. Uh, by the way, I've earned 3 degrees and 7 different certifications. I
Your
kind of
fault.
as I was reading the study, I was kind of going, you know what? I need to be born a little bit later.
Um,
Like
well,
I'd
that's
be thriving in
yeah,
this environment, right? But
maybe.
so anyhow,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Well,
yeah,
I forget what it was with I have to go back and look. Um, the research I was looking at last week, I talked about where it's a little bit of the opposite on when they did the analysis of jobs that were AI based. They
I
are
remember that.
interested in PhDs. They
Yes,
are looking for humanities. But I think that's more the critical thinking, right? Like the
right,
jobs of everyday, and not that AI is not job of everyday person, but most of these jobs do not require degrees. We know that. But as you move into certain areas, yeah, I mean, you want your doctor to have a degree. You want your lawyer to have a degree, maybe. Um, yeah, not all that tracks. All that
all
tracks for
right.
me. All
Let's
right,
do the F.
we got some money to talk about. So I'm gonna mispronounce the name. Hibia, sounds right.
Sure.
They took in $130 million in funding, led by Andreessen
Mm,
Horowitz. The mission of Hibia, if I'm mispronouncing it, I'm sorry. Not
yeah,
really,
run
but
with
I'm
it. You're
kind of
good.
sorry. The mission here is to go beyond what we know as transactional chatbots.
Right,
So type something, get a response. Type something, get a response. A charted response, right? So choose option
right,
A, get
right.
answer B. their mission is to get away from that. They want the chat. They want to work. They want your AI assistant to work like a human. So think conversations, check-ins, task management, all of this stuff. So they took in 130 million over the last 18 months. Check out these numbers though. 15x, they've grown 15x. They quintupled headcount, and which was probably the most interesting of this, they've driven more than 2% of the daily traffic on OpenAI, overall
Wow.
daily volume. So
Okay.
these guys are no joke, right? They're pushing it. So this is really based in for asset managers, law firms, banks.
Right.
It's all about working faster, allowing the employee to make decisions faster. So think contract analysis, investment risk, earnings calls analysis, public and private screeners, and things like that. Big money, good investment or good investment firms backing them up. Interested to see where these guys roll.
I love it. No
Yeah.
analysis. I love it. All right, let me give you one. Kenyan HR payroll provider Workpay raises a little under 9 million, 8.8 million. This is going to be found on launchbaseafrica.com. So we've talked in previous weeks about work tech being truly global. So you got global companies
Mm-hmm.
like Deal and Ripping and Remote and other types of companies basically doing global payroll. So they're going kind of wide, right? And they're going to cover 200 countries or whatever the bid
Yeah.
is. And then you'll see sometimes you'll see things like this, like Workpay, where they're going deep. They're going in Kenya. They're going to go deep into Kenyan payroll.
Mm-hmm.
So for people listening to it, first of all, congratulations to Workpay for raising almost $9 million. Not easy. I don't care who you are. So congratulations for that. But for the audience, just to explain kind of, or just to understand basically the wide versus narrow. So some companies, and you see these huge amounts of being raised by some of these companies, 300 million, whatever. And it's because they're trying to be relevant, be able to pay people in, again, 200 countries, which is massively difficult. Whereas you see a play like this, they're not trying to go wide. They're trying to go
Right.
deep into a country and understand all of the crazy nuances in Kenya's payroll. So congratulations to them. I love seeing stuff I like seeing both.
Mm-hmm.
So I like companies going wide. I like people going deep. So good for them.
Yep.
Let me give you another one real quick, and I know you got to take on this because we read it at the
Yeah.
same time. Sidecar Health raises 165 million for employee health insurance plans. You can find this on Mobi Health, MOBI healthnews.com. And they've got a cool business model, in my opinion. It's different than your traditional health insurance plan. So they focus on price transparency
Mm-hmm.
and direct payments for care. And what caught my eye in the story was the company has no plans for co-insurance or
Yeah.
copays.
No co-pays.
No
That's
copays.
can't
I,
beat
I
that.
saw I saw no copays. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
When's this coming to Texas?
Yeah.
It's in
Consumer-driven
Ohio.
healthcare.
Yeah, it's in Ohio, Georgia. The fund, so again, $165 million. It's a lot of money. This is for their expansion into Florida.
Right.
So, what did you see when you saw the story?
Well, I think this is something where it's funding for healthcare. Okay,
Right,
but this is something where I think as an HR leader, um, their ears should be perking up here because this isn't just a funding to a healthcare plan. This is a shift towards a more consumer-driven healthcare program. It's innovative. Strike that, meaningful, right? It's
right.
meaningful benefits to employees, current and future, right? So retain your employees and future when you
Yep,
don't have
recur.
copays and you get to choose and there's transparency and all of that. Takes a convoluted, screwed up industry and makes it easier for people to
Well, and
consume.
again, it's like the benefits historically. It's okay. Let's say you have 100 benefits. You have EAPs, you have all these
Mhm.
different types of benefits. But as an employee, you only use 3.
Right.
You use your vision because you get new glasses, or
Mhm.
you use a
Yeah.
emergency room
But
for
you're paying
something
for them
like,
all.
yeah. And you're
Mhm.
not paying yet, and all those other ones, they're not really benefits.
Yeah.
Again, if you're not consuming them, this is really more of a focus on what are you consuming? Okay, pay for that. And it's just different.
Yeah.
It's a really cool model. I first of all, I like seeing different models. The market will suss out whether or not
Mhm.
it works or not. So, but congratulations to them for raising money. Not easy in today's market. All right, let me give you one. Soderbergh and partners raised $220 million to further international expansion. So this is at Soderbergh partnersgroup.com. So they're known. They've come across our radar before, but they're really known in the wealth management, non-life insurance, and employee benefits. And we track the kind of the employee benefits side. The other two things, but not as much. But employee benefits,
Mhm.
we care a lot about. And so this fund, basically why they raised this money was to basically do more of an international. They're really well known in Europe, and
Yeah.
so this is okay. How do we get to the States? How do we get to Australia? How do we get to other places? And it's KKR backed. So sometimes you look at who's backing something
Right.
like this, and it's smart money, and the Sequoias and KKRs of the world. They don't. I mean, they're all making bets,
Yeah.
but they
They're
make
good
more
and bad.
smart
Yeah.
bets than like Andreessen.
Mhm. Yeah.
Another great example of that. They're all making bets. They're gambling,
Yeah.
but they make more good bets than bad bets.
Yeah. Well,
So,
turns out that's
uh,
why
yeah,
they're the leaders.
that's why they can raise funds. I mean, again, you can't raise a fund if you make all bad bets.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, so I've got one here. Clip is a Munich-based HR tech startup. They closed on a seed round of a million,
Mm.
roughly million euros. So they specialize in video-based knowledge transfer.
Oh, cool.
Video-based knowledge transfer. So this isn't just flip the phone around and do training. This isn't
Right.
get into your LMS and do training. So what they're really addressing here is skill shortages, and they help to facilitate, I'll use air quotes here, generational knowledge transfer
Yeah.
within the organization. So
Oh, that's cool.
older employees leaving the workforce or employees who have institutional knowledge, they've been there for 10 years, 15 years, a lot of that's in their brains. It's up here, right? And they don't have it written anywhere. It's kind of like family history. A lot of people just don't have family history. Well, they have it.
Right.
It's just not recorded. And
Right.
so these guys are working to help organizations get that knowledge onto video and into obviously a system. But I think the approach is modern. It's social based, right? It's recorded by employees, no lights, no cameras, no actions, that type of thing. So it's very familiar, and it's something that I think a lot of LRPs lack. They're very they're very produced, and this is not, and this is what we need. This is the knowledge we need to transfer down from this person to that person. I think it's a good play. I'm interested to see. Good luck to them. And I think you pronounce it Big luck. That was really
Oh,
bad.
very nice. It's
But good
German.
luck. Yeah, Big luck. Well,
Well,
maybe not. I butchered
the
it.
the only thing I'd add to the story is the name of clip is CLYPP. So those
Yeah,
that
the
are going to
spelling.
search for that and
Yeah.
take a look at it, go and type in that name,
Yeah.
CLYPP. Last funding news that we have to talk about, Ryan, is HR Path secures 500 million
It's a little bit of money.
euros. It's a half a billion in euros
Yeah.
in financing from Arianna to consolidate its position as a leader in HR transformations. So
Yeah.
this is at hr-path.com. And
Hmm.
so think that, this is a consulting firm and they do HR. They
Hmm.
specialize in digital transformation, HR transformation. And we've probably talked about transformation in some form or fashion in
Yeah.
every single barf.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it comes up often. You see a half a billion euros being dumped into a consulting firm that
It's a lot of money.
focuses on this. winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Turns
So
out it's
good for
pretty
them.
important.
Yeah.
You think?
500 million euros
Yeah,
worth. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Good for
yeah.
them.
So well, that's it, man. We've done it. We've covered a whole lot this week. I didn't even think we had that much this week, but I guess we did. So it's a lot of stuff.
It always goes that way.
Yeah,
We
it
always
does.
say, "Oh, this is going to be a short show." There's not that much to talk about.
Seven and
And
a half
then
hours later, we're talking about stuff. Anyway, thank you all for listening. We appreciate it. Love you. Subscribe to us everywhere, and we will see you next
Substack.
time. Oh yeah, Substack. Go to Substack. Work defined. WRK defined. Substack. Check it out.